shall we stay on it and perish slow? We don't know, we don't know. Captain, you tell me what to do. Whoa, whoa. The Trinidad, oh, she was a beauty with wealth that few surpassed. And in her day, she sailed majestically. There were few in her class. Faithfully, she fulfilled her sailor's need. Some were overpowered by greed, and so they pilfered slow. Some took bite, bulk, and go. Now she looked dull, she's at the lull. She could barely sit on her hull. Captain, the ship is sinking. Captain, the seas are rough, oh yes. We gas tank almost empty, no electricity. We oil pressure reading low. Shall we abandon ship, or shall we stay on it and perish slow? We don't know, we don't know. Captain, you tell me what to do. Whoa, whoa, whoa. The Trinidad, in her day of sailing, she was a friend to one and all. She never once ever hesitated to answer all SOS calls. And yes, well, she always did her best to help out those in distress. Now it's so sad to see she's in difficulties. Though she helped cheer some of them cheer and sarcastically declare, Captain, the ship is sinking. Captain, the seas are rough. We gas tank almost empty, no electricity. We oil pressure reading low. Shall we abandon ship, or shall we sit on it and perish slow? We don't know, we don't know. Captain, you tell me what to do. Whoa, whoa. If only there was something I could have done to restore the credibility of this beautiful vessel. Money's no problem. Now there's a
This is a call for Mr. Jafari Daniel. Mr. Jafari Daniel, please report backstage. Thank you.
So foreign countries really start migrating. They lose faith in the country, they say we gone down the drain. They say no more could we see happy times again. But the will to recover in my people, like have confidence. Although many may seem to feel that I talking nonsense, but the majority of we decide we're not going to run, because now is the time to show we patriotism. For we country facing, it's that it's our. So our people need us today more than ever. But in our fight to recover, if ever you feel to surrender, it have one little thing that I want you always remember. We could make it if we try.
La HORQUETTA, good evening. beautiful HORQUETTA, welcome. And so we are ready to begin this evening's proceedings. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please stand for the national anthem of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. This will be done by Mr. Jafari Daniel, who is the winner of the Pan Solo of the 2025 Best Village competition, hailing from right here in HORQUETTA. Nothing boasts of Trinbagonian pride than our national anthem played on our national instrument, ladies and gentlemen. I invite you please to remain standing as we invite God's presence, and to do that we welcome the Education Officer of the HORQUETTA TALPARO constituency, Ms. Helen Wharton.
Let's bow our heads. Heavenly Father, we give you praise and we give you thanks, O Lord. Father, we thank you for this gathering here this evening. And we pray for those who are still on their way, O Lord. You bring them here safely. We ask a special blessing upon every single member of this People's National Movement, the party that you were instrumental in ensuring that it was formed. But at this time, we need to get ourselves in order, and we ask again for your assistance, O Heavenly Father. Guide, guard, and keep every single one of us well within your reach. This we ask in no other name, but in Jesus' holy name. Amen.
Thank you so very much, ladies and gentlemen. You may take your seats. My name is Laura Lizama, and I have the pleasure of co-hosting this evening's meeting with our party's Education Officer and Chairman of the Trin-City Maloney constituency, Dr. Jelani Reid.
Thank you very much, Laurel, and let's give our International Liaison Officer a lusty round of applause. Is there anyone here from the constituency of HORQUETTA Talparo? Is there anyone from the constituency of Arima? Is there anyone from the constituency of Trin-City Maloney? Is there anyone from the People's National Movement? HORQUETTA Phase 5, good evening. Nah, this is not the Red Army that we know in the PNM. HORQUETTA, good evening. I am Jelani Reid, the Education Officer of the People's National Movement. And you know, this evening, we are standing here tonight, not an ordinary night, but for us in the People's National Movement, we are standing in defense of all of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. And what exactly are we standing in defense of? We are standing in defense of truth, because we know our opponents are trying to rewrite the history of Trinidad and Tobago, not under the PNM's watch. We are defending the architect of governance. Probably for the first time in our history, we now understand what is the true meaning of good governance. Ladies and gentlemen, we are standing in defense of the future of the children of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. And we know that when we stand on a PNM lectern, it is only truth that comes out of the mouths, truth to justice, and truth about the future of Trinidad and Tobago. Ladies and gentlemen, as we begin our Wicketton here tonight, we bring forth the Secretary of the Youth League of HORQUETTA, TALPARO. She is young 20-year-old Chelsea Wellington, the Secretary of HORQUETTA TALPARO Youth League. She is the holder of a Bachelor's of Computer Science. She is the granddaughter of the former Member of Parliament for Mayaro, a former student of Malabar Secondary School. Ladies and gentlemen, PNM people, let's welcome our youth speaker for this evening, none other than Miss Chelsea Wellington.
Can't ball in a life, man. Go on with it, go on with it.
Good night, HORQUETTA people. Please allow me to acknowledge the political leader of the opposition, the Honorable Pennelope Beckles, Chairman of the movement, the Honorable Marvin Gonzalez, MP for Aruka Maloney, Senator Shanvi Buru, Deputy Political Leader, General Secretary, Senator Foster Cummins, Honorable Camille Robinson Regis, Member of Parliament for Chin-City Maloney, Chairman of the Tunapuna Piako Regional Corporation, Councillor Josiah Austin, Chairman of the National Youth League, Mr. Patrick Philip, Temporary Opposition Senator. It is with great pride and deep respect and an unwavering commitment to the people of this beautiful constituency that I address you tonight, our wonderful political leader, the Honorable Pennelope Beckles. A very warm welcome to our diverse constituency. The dynamic speakers for this evening proceedings, officers of the movement, members of parliament, local government representatives, Balize House operation team, PNM supporters, visitors, viewers, and members of the media, and most importantly, my fellow young people, a special good night. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, to speak about something that weighs heavily on my heart, and on the hearts of many constituents who reside across our vast constituency. I dislike having to say this, but you see those opportunities which existed for the young people courtesy our former MP and Minister of Youth Development and National Service, they all vanished into a thin air on April 29, 2025. Never to be seen or heard again. Sadly, we are now here, come to learn that when they said everyone went, they did not mean youth. They did not mean young men and women that look like me, because they think we of this community are distinct for one thing, and I'm sure you know what I mean. Under the People's National Movement, the government, there was a ministry designed specifically for youth development and national service, led by our very own Senator, Foster Cummins. As Senator Cummins ran that ministry like a clockwork, countless programs were launched, such as hairdressing, barbering, heavy equipment, improving your business, mentorship, and of course, the flagship suite of agriculture programs. And then the minister, along with his staff and the ministry, thought about any and everything that you and I and launch it every Monday morning to give us hope, opportunity, simply to give us the chance to succeed. Senator Cummins made it look so easy. Somehow, someone thought they could have replicated it. But there's only one Mr. Cummins and one true mayor, never two. If I had to answer why I support the People's National Movement, I would stand firmly without fear and without contradiction. It is because of the democracy and fairness they led with. For example, to get into our program, I did not need to know anyone. I did not need to talk to a minister. Definitely, I did not need to visit an MP office. All I needed was some CXC subjects, correct age requirements, and to visit the nearest youth development center where I'll meet with a youth officer who will assist with anything I needed. Now, every time a youth asks about an opportunity, it's either there's nothing right now or visit your MP office for your name to be listed. Too many are asking the same painful question on a daily basis: where is the opportunities? This is not the future of our young people that our young people deserve. This constituent and country been blessed with talent. My fellow youths from right here in La HORQUETTA, Waterfield, Jacob Hill, Tudge Road, and Talparo, we were innovators, artists, engineers, teachers, farmers, technicians, and entrepreneurs. Under the People's National Movement-led government, the youths, not only in La HORQUETTA, but throughout Trinidad and Tobago, had opportunities in abundance. There was hope, there was love, and most importantly, there was countless possibilities. I often hear Ms. Novell, my mentor, speaking of oppressive times in the past when the People's National Movement was in opposition. And brothers and sisters, as a youth who stands committed to this party in 2026, I feel the same, and I know that hard truth. When opportunities are limited, frustration grows. When young people feel like their country has no place for it led to discouragement, migration, and loss of attention. Like what crises are saying and what we are seeing happening in the New Zealand. It leads to ideal hands too. I wonder if that is what this government wants. Our young people are not asking for handouts. We are asking for a fair chance, a chance to work hard and earn a decent living. A chance to start a business, contribute meaningfully to our communities, our economy, and this beautiful place we call home. A chance to believe that a future can be built in Trinidad. Imagine Trinidad and Tobago, where our young people no longer feel they need to leave to achieve their dreams. Imagine thousands of young entrepreneurs starting new businesses. Imagine creating new industries that generate jobs across our country. Imagine communities strengthened because of young people have hope again. That is a future we must fight for, and that is why I continue advocating for and representing the People's National Movement. Tonight, let us send a message across this constituency and country. The future of Trinidad and Tobago does not belong to a few young people who sing a silly slogan or wear a particular color. It belongs to all youth, whether you reside in Phase 1, Phase 2, Phase 3, Phase 4, Phase 5, Phase 6, or Phase 7, La HORQUETTA, whether you reside way up in Lafayette or the furthest point in Charlottesville, Tobago. The youth of Trinidad and Tobago deserves a chance. And that chance is only with our political leader, our Honorable Ms. Pennelope Beckles, and with the PNM. Young people, hold steady. We will rally with the PNM and reap our just reward. This is our land as much as it is theirs, and they cannot and must not squeeze us out. Create is the PNM. Great is the PN, great are our young people, great is Trinidad and Tobago. Thank you, and may God continue to bless this beautiful constituency and party.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have heard the voice of the youth. Let us give young Miss Wellington a round of applause. And you know, she said something, and as always, the truth starts here on a PNM platform. It is in the PNM where young people get an opportunity to sit at the table. Last Friday, our political leader and opposition leader appointed our chairman of the National Youth League to be a temporary senator in the People's House, Senator Patrick Phillip. Let's give him a round of applause. And as we continue our platform of education and defending truth and justice for all of the people of Trinidad and Tobago, ladies and gentlemen, our next speaker needs no introduction. He is a man on the ground. He is a man that understands governance at the local level. He is a man that understands the needs of the people of HORQUETTA TALPARO right here in Phase 5 basketball courts. He understands community centers. He understands that leadership requires you to be on the ground with the people. Ladies and gentlemen, and a big shout out to my constituency in Trinity Maloney. Assist us to welcome Councillor Josiah Austin and Chairman of the Tunapuna Piako Regional Corporation. Let's welcome him.
Crying, voices from the ghetto. Crying, Lord,
Not that far. I was asked to pause for a minute, but I will go ahead in the interest of time. You know, my first speech was in HORQUETTA. My second speech was in HORQUETTA. My third speech was in HORQUETTA. I was made the coordinator for HORQUETTA. And now I am back here, my fourth speech in HORQUETTA. This is indeed my second home. And I'm always welcome here. We are doing it step by step. We'll bring HORQUETTA back to the People's National Movement. We will bring HORQUETTA back to the People's National Movement. My people of HORQUETTA Talparo, do you feel neglected? You sure? Let them hear it, man. We don't know what is going on in here. Permit me to recognize our opposition leader, political leader of the PNM and Member of Parliament for Rima, the Honorable Pennelope Beckles Robinson, who led a dynamic and powerful walkabout today. Oh, the people love Penny. The people love the People's National Movement in HORQUETTA Talparo, and they miss us dearly. Permit me to also recognize Mr. Robinson and his wonderful family who are here with us. Executive members of the PNM, my local government colleagues, members of the protective services, members of the media, my beautiful people of HORQUETTA Talparo, my PNM people, good evening. It is indeed a privilege to stand before you this evening as we continue the work of defending our communities and exposing the failures of this government in managing the affairs of this beautiful nation. And nowhere are those failures more glaring than in local government. Local government is where the rubber meets the road. It is where drains are cleared, roads are repaired, communities are cleaned, and public spaces are protected. It is the level of government closest to the people. But ladies and gentlemen, local government is treated with neglect and disregard. And let me say tonight, a government that neglects local government is a government that neglects the people. For years, we in the People's National Movement argued that if local government was to be strengthened, there must be a sustainable mechanism to fund municipal corporations, so communities could receive the services they deserve. So a fair and equitable tax was introduced to facilitate this objective. But when this government came into office, they rushed to abolish the property tax. They did not reform it. They did not improve it. They simply abolished it. However, thousands of citizens had already paid. Those citizens were promised refunds, and when they were told none was forthcoming, they were chastised for obeying the law. Yet the same leaders now have the unmitigated goal to call our nation a lawless dump. Up to today, there has been no clear accounting, no transparency, no explanation. We are still asking the simple question, what was done with the property tax collected from citizens? And while they campaigned loudly against property tax, they quietly introduced landlord tax. But let us be clear, that is not tax for the delivery of community services. It is a tax that is driving up rental costs across the country, making life harder for ordinary families. Ladies and gentlemen, if flip-flopping was an institution in Trinidad and Tobago, the UNC would be its headquarters. My brothers and sisters, the workers who maintain our communities have also been ridiculed and dismissed. They have been called grass cutters, lazy, unproductive. Their jobs have been described as menial. But tonight I say, there is nothing menial about honest work. The great civil rights leader, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. reminded us, all labor that uplifts humanity has dignity and importance. May I say that again? All labor that uplifts humanity has dignity and importance. Every worker who cleans drains, cuts a road verge, repairs a road, or maintains a park is uplifting our communities, and they deserve respect. But what we see from this government is a new style of politics, one where people are insulted, disrespected, ridiculed, but somehow the more offensive the language becomes, the more politically useful it is. During the election campaign, they told you, when we win, you win. So I must ask the residents of HORQUETTA, TALPARO tonight, are you winning yet? When CPEP and URP were shut down, did you win? When thousands of workers lost their jobs, did you win? When salaries are late every month, did you win? When allocations to PNM corporations were reduced, did you win? Instead of a victory for the people, the country has received what the UNC now represents: unfairness, nefarious actions, and blatant corruption. They attacked CPEP and replaced it with UPS, upkeep of public spaces. But that program has ended last week on Friday 13th, and tonight I can say without fear of contradiction, that program is no match for CPEP. It is chalk and cheese. And after the people have worked, we are hearing they are still not paid, while some CPEP contractors are still owed thousands of dollars. Imagine just workers who helped clean our communities for Carnival are still waiting on their pay. My brothers and sisters, injustice against working people is not just a political issue, it is a moral issue. The Bible warns us about leaders who misuse power. In Isaiah 10, verses 1 to 2, it says, "Woe to those who make unjust laws, to those who issue oppressive decrees, to deprive the poor of their rights and withhold the justice from the oppressed." And the question tonight is simply this: what happens next? Because our communities are crying out for proper maintenance of our green spaces. While we have just launched Operation Take Back in Tunapuna Piako, with the support of the private sector, much more is needed in the region. Ladies and gentlemen, with much talk about local government elections being called, there is something else that is brewing. Last week, all municipal mayors and chairmen were invited to a meeting. The purpose of this meeting was to discuss the reviewing of municipal boundaries. Now, we are not afraid of discussions, consultations, or even reform, but the people of Trinidad and Tobago must remain alert. They must remain vigilant, because when this government begins talking about changing electoral boundaries, citizens have a duty to ask questions. We must ensure that such exercises are not used for political advantage and gerrymandering. History reminds us the price of freedom is in eternal vigilance, and we must remain vigilant. But we must also ensure that regardless of the realignment of electoral boundaries, we don't take candle to see in the night what is clear for us to see in the day, and therefore resoundingly vote for the People's National Movement in every electoral district in the upcoming local government election. We must seize the moment whenever election is called to push back on a government that has consistently deceived the population by saying one thing and doing the other. Now is the time for us to unite in a common purpose of restoring responsible leadership and sober governance to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Because our country deserves better than confusion. Our workers deserve better than disrespect. And our communities deserve better than neglect. The People's National Movement has always believed that when communities are strong, the nation is strong. We believe in empowering local government so decisions are made closer to the people. We believe in protecting the dignity of workers who wake up every morning to build, clean, and maintain our country. We believe in protecting our culture, our communities, and the future of our children. And tonight I say to you, do not be discouraged by the noise, the insults, or the deception. Because the strength of the PNM has never come from slogans and gimmicks. The strength of the PNM has always been in its people. From constituencies like HORQUETTA, TALPARO, from workers who refuse to give up, from citizens who believe that Trinidad and Tobago must always move forward. So whenever that election is called, let us stand together. Let us stand with confidence. Let us stand with courage. And let us send a clear message across the country that Trinidad and Tobago will not be misled, that our communities will not be neglected, and that the People's National Movement will continue to stand as the guardian for our nation's progress. My brothers and sisters, the road ahead requires strength, it requires unity, and it requires conviction. But we have walked difficult roads before, and each time we emerge stronger. So let the word go out tonight from HORQUETTA. Let the word go out tonight from HORQUETTA. The PNM is ready. The people are ready. And victory will belong to those who stand firm. May God bless HORQUETTA TALPARO. May God bless the Tunapuna-Piako region. And may God continue to bless the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. Great is the PNM. Great is the PNM. Great is the PNM. And we shall always prevail.
Voices from the ghetto, crying, 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 Lord, Lord, crying. Voices from the ghetto.
How many voices, whether from the ghetto or not, whether you're from HORQUETTA, TALPARO, Arima, Glencoe, Carenage, Cedros, how many voices are crying out under this government? Ladies and gentlemen, Chairman Josiah said injustice is not just a political issue, it is a moral issue. And ladies and gentlemen, Trinidad and Tobago is suffering in a moral morass under this UNC government. All of you who have been humiliated by the utterances of the Prime Minister, I apologize to you. Chairman Josiah said it, work is work, menial or not, once it is honest. And I thank you for the service that you do to the people, for the people of Trinidad and Tobago. But he also said that the price of freedom is eternal vigilance, so it is your duty. It is incumbent upon each and every one of you to be vigilant, to stand ready, and to have your candles and your balize ready to fight for Trinidad and Tobago, ladies and gentlemen. Because as he said, the strength of the PNM is in you, the people, and only you can make the difference. Ladies and gentlemen, as we move along in our program, permit me please the opportunity to recognize some very wonderful people present with us this evening in HORQUETTA. We have with us the Deputy Political Leader, Party and Election Matters, former Minister of Labor and former Labor Relations Officer, Mrs. Jennifer Batiste Primus. Our party Labor Relations Officer and Chairman of the Arima constituency, Mr. Kenneth Duraj. Our hard-working officer, Ms. Irene Hangs. Our youth officer and member of parliament for Laventille West, Mr. Kareem Marcel. Member of Parliament for Diego Martin Central and party social media officer, Simon de Nobrega. Member of Parliament for Diego Martin West and great youth exemplar, Hans de Veens. My wonderful convent sister, Senator Janelle John Bates. Her Worship, the Mayor of the Borough of Diego Martin, and our champion on social media, a woman warrior of the PNM, Alderman Akila Glasgow Warner. The Deputy Mayor of Arima, Councillor Jovan Roberts. I recognize a number of local government representatives, including Kim Garcia and Dave Maraj from Arima. Pardon my bias. And yes, I recognize from the Sangre Grande Regional Corporation too. All of the members of the constituency executives here present this evening. I recognize former Mayor of Arima, Alderman Kagni Casimir. And my very dear former Member of Parliament for Arima and former Minister of Education, the wonderful Anthony Garcia and Mrs. Garcia. And please permit me to recognize your former constituency chairman, the dear Mr. Lennox Ratan Singh. Ladies and gentlemen, we are one big PNM family, and it is only together we can wrest governance from this wicked UNC administration. And as we talk about an effort from everybody, it is my pleasure to welcome the youngest deputy political leader of the People's National Movement and his responsibility for policy. He is a former candidate for the constituency of Kumoto Manzanilla, and he currently serves as that constituency's coordinator. And you will see alongside his chairman, they have been doing magnificent things in that constituency, in and out of government. He is a graduate of the Holy Cross College in Arima and of St. Joseph's Convent in St. Joseph. He is a distinguished attorney at law, an orator extraordinaire. He captures your attention and he makes a lot of sense when he speaks, ladies and gentlemen. He has been central in the party's discussions for Stand Your Ground and for the zones of special operation legislation. He is championing youth leadership. He is championing sound policy. He is championing inclusive governance in the People's National Movement and in Trinidad and Tobago. HORQUETTA, please welcome Senator Sanjeev Boodoo.
Said I had a close one yesterday. Jah put an angel over me, be strong. All of her medication. One day things must get better. Don't you go down, keep your head above the water. Stay. One day things must get better.
One day things must get better. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I recognize the political leader, the Honorable Pennelope Beckles Robinson, Member of Parliament for Arima, and the leader of the opposition of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. And of course, I recognize my party colleagues. With all of the protocols being well established, I stand on them. And ladies and gentlemen, I wish to acknowledge that it is always a real honor and privilege to stand on a PNM platform to address the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Because it is a PNM platform that has seen the likes of people like Dr. Eric Williams, like George Chambers, Patrick Manning, Keith Rowley, Stuart Young, and even for some time, A.N.R. Robinson, and now Mrs. Pennelope Beckles Robinson. That is the caliber of people that the PNM produces. And it is this caliber of people that come here and address you on the interests of nation building, of propelling our people to greater achievement, to democracy, to education, to healthcare, housing, energy, and to opportunity for all. But ladies and gentlemen, we as a people face a serious clear and present danger to us all. The current government continues to demonstrate that it is hapless and helpless when it comes to the fundamentals of governance. You see, ladies and gentlemen, in public life, credibility matters, leadership matters, integrity matters, and as Dr. Rowley said, character matters. And when a political party asks the people for their trust, the people are entitled to examine its record. So tonight, ladies and gentlemen, I want us to look honestly at the history of the United National Congress and the troubling pattern that has too often surrounded this government, this UNC government. Controversy, allegations of corruption, criminal charges involving some of its officials and associates. This against the backdrop of this government suspending our constitutional rights by implementing a second in what we conclude to be an intended series of states of emergency, whereas the government has not provided one justification that is consistent with the Constitution for the implementation of this second SOE. None of the things that the government has said they will do with the assistance of the SOE, they need an SOE for in the first place. So let us look at their track record. And it is important that we do because some of us listening on are young people, teenagers, young adults in their 20s and 30s who may not know the real record of the UNC. And then there are some of us who are older but might have forgotten what it was like. And then some of us who are bombarded by the misinformation continuously published by UNC-paid fake profile operators on social media and UNC-paid ministers of social media, propaganda, and hate speech. That is against the backdrop. I want you all to pay attention to what I have to say this evening, which is the record of this UNC government. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a look into some, only some, of the record of the UNC, and I start with the Piarco Airport scandal. This issue involved massive fraud and corruption in the UNC's construction of the Piarco International Airport. Investigations and prosecutions in this matter stretched across jurisdictions and was a years-long battle to bring these UNC perpetrators and fugitives to justice. And thanks to the hard work of the PNM, including the dedication of same John Jeremy, who was the Attorney General to Prime Minister Manning, and successive AGs dedicating years to these efforts, like Senator Faris Al-Rawi, the U.S. Appeal Court upheld a ruling that UNC financier Steve Ferguson, who is the former NGC chairman under UNC government, and former UNC minister Brian Quaitong, and others, must pay to this country the sum of US $131 million plus costs. When that is taken together, it amounts to some 1.3 billion TT dollars. That is the level of corruption. And to put that into context, the budget allocation in this fiscal year, 2026, for the Ministry of Defense is $440 million. And I am talking about recovery of $1.3 billion. So $440 million to run the ministry that is responsible for this country's defense apparatus. This TTT? That is the ministry responsible for this country. Mike. That is the ministry responsible for this country's defense apparatus to ensure the safety and security of our sovereignty and democracy. Compare these two figures to understand the significance of $1.3 billion to you, the citizen. Do you think if we get that money, or if we had gotten it when we were supposed to get it from those two UNC officials, you would have lost your URP job, you would have lost your CRP job, CPEP job, you would have lost your forestry job? $1.3 billion. The next one I want to move on to, and we know about it well here, is live sport. The bloodshed that came from that right here in HORQUETTA, and right next door in W. O'Meara, which is now Malabar Mouse, and I recognize my MP, Mr. Dominic Romaine. And the corruption involving $440 million of your money. And up to yesterday in the Express, Mark Bassant had a story which said that the police obtained a court order for 59 companies to produce documents in this investigation. But to nobody's surprise, that article went on to disclose that only 18 of those companies are still active, of the 59. The remainder of those companies that they have production orders for, they are unaccounted for. So we will see where that goes. Now that they're back in office and they're holding the reins, we will see where that investigation goes. The next thing we saw is the arrest and charge of former Attorney General Anand Ramlogan and former UNC Senator, now NGC Chairman and next NGC Chairman, Gerard Ramdeen, for allegations of conspiring with Vincent Nelson to receive kickbacks, that is bribes, on state legal fees. And it is this same Nelson who pleaded guilty and was sentenced to conspiracy offenses and was ordered to pay restitution to the state. But of course, we can't leave out the Minister of Housing, who is ably assisted by the two ministers of social media and illegal parking. The same one, that is the same Minister of Housing, who this Minister of Transport, Minister Zakur, that man had to pass a whole law to stop the Minister of Social Media from making videos when he's driving. And I want to applaud Minister Zakur because he is the first minister that take a step and a stand for the people of this country to avoid us from being bombarded and assaulted by the continuous rubbish that comes out from that Minister of Social Media. But coming back, and I know the Mayor for Diego Martin will agree with me on that. Coming back to the Minister of Housing, David Lee charged not once, but twice for misbehavior in public office and conspiracy to defraud the state, that is you, the sum of $1.4 million. And currently, right now, as I speak on this platform, and as he is sitting in the office of Minister of Housing and being paid a hefty salary with your money, he is currently on bail secured in the sum of $1 million. That means that the court so wanted to ensure that this man come to court and face his charges, that they say, bring something worth $1 million so that we will release you. Otherwise, we're keeping you inside. That is how bail works. So understand that we, as citizens in Trinidad and Tobago, have a cabinet minister on $1 million bail. But ladies and gentlemen, I come to something even more concerning than all of that. Several years ago, there was a minister in a UNC government by the name of Dhanraj Singh. All remember he? A minister in UNC government. Now I want to read from an article in a weekly newspaper. Now this weekly newspaper is a New York-based newspaper, and this newspaper has been in circulation since 1978. It's called the Queen's Chronicle. I'm going to read from it, and I quote. He is known in Trinidad political circles as the sheriff, but he is currently the focus of investigations by officers of the fraud squad. And he has also been named in the 1999 death of a Trinidad and Tobago businessman. Reports indicate that shortly before he was killed in December 1999, Hansraj Sumer Singh, chairman of the Rio Claro Mayaro Regional Corporation, wrote a letter to Trinidad Prime Minister Basdeo Pandey saying Singh had threatened him. Member of Parliament in the People's National Movement, then in opposition, MP Fitzgerald Hines in the Parliament said, the imminence of the pending breakthrough is a matter of concern for all of us in this House because it was the first time in this country that there was a clearly and demonstrably political murder. The allegation was reported the latest in a string of incidents involving Singh. These included an assault charge involving himself and Officer Norton Regis in 1997, no relation to Camille Robinson Regis, a matter which is still before the courts at the time of this article, which is dated the 9th of November 2000. A gun-pulling incident at the Tunapuna Piarco Regional Corporation, an altercation in which a cutlass was brandished, a cussing incident, and the beating of 2 businessmen at his constituency office. When questioned, Prime Minister Pandey said last week that he passed on information to the police about the former local government minister, adding that it was based on that information he received that he fired Singh. Now, that is one article. I turn now to a Newsday article, local newspaper, dated the 11th of October 2003. And that article is entitled, The Saga of Sheriff Danraj. And it reads, then came October 1998, when accountant Sohelia Omardeen reported to the Gasparillo police that Singh verbally abused her and threatened to show her his gun. On that same occasion, Singh's wife, Leela, denied that he was an abusive husband. That is in October. But by November of that same year, Singh admitted that he slapped his wife once in their marriage, which at the time amounted to 14 years. Singh's controversial life continued with several battles, listen to this good, several battles with PNM-controlled regional corporations, where he threatened to halt funding at several of these bodies. That sounds familiar? All right. Despite, article continuing here, despite all the various allegations circling about Danraj and URP elements, it was not until October 2000 that Pandey fired Singh. So it took from April 1997 to October 2000, more than 3 years, for the UNC to act. The last line in this article reads, it is in relation to an interview conducted with the deceased Hansraj Sumer Singh's family, and it reads, the Sumer Singhs believed that his stand against corruption in the URP led to his death. They're referring here to URP corruption under the UNC administration. All right? But we're hearing something different when it comes to URP now. Now I want to get to one more thing. The Hansard of the Parliament, dated the 14th of January 2000. This is an excerpt from a contribution of PNM Member of Parliament Hedridge Bureau. He stood up in Parliament and he read out that letter onto the Parliament's Hansard, the letter that Hansraj Sumer Singh allegedly delivered to then Prime Minister Basdeo Pandey, and I will read a few lines from it. Sir, it is very disturbing that I have to draw to your attention threats made to me by the Minister of Local Government, Mr. Danraj Singh. I am extremely worried about this situation because my personal safety is at stake. Now, at this time, Kamla Prasad Bisesa is a senior cabinet member in the Pandey government, sitting Minister of Education, and then former Attorney General. That's where Mrs. Prasad Bisesa was. So you see, ladies and gentlemen, this is the track record of the UNC. So when we in the opposition warn you that this UNC government is not fit for office, is dangerous, is a threat to the best interests of you, the people, this is why we are saying what we are saying. It is because the evidence supports that conclusion. Nothing I have said here tonight, I invented. Every single one of these issues were reported in various newspapers in Trinidad and Tobago and abroad and on the Parliament's Hansard. That is the record of UNC on crime. So that is why we take personal offense. We take personal offense, especially those of us who are lawyers, take personal offense to the fact, as established by Minister of Defense Wayne Sturge, that the UNC government knew that a senior private prosecutor, Dana Sitahal, a former independent senator, Dana Sitahal, serving the people of Trinidad and Tobago. She was a lecturer at the Haywarding Law School, author of the instructional text on Commonwealth Caribbean criminal practice, a sister, an aunt, a friend, a mentor, a colleague. They knew that her life was under threat. And it is they that did nothing. They listen, and they listen, and they listen, and now she is not here. And in their excitement to convince this country that up is down and black is white, they end up busting their own mark. They end up disclosing on the Parliament's answer that they knew of the threat against her and did nothing. Imagine Ms. Sita Hall prosecuting the criminally accused on behalf of the state and in the interest of law and order and justice for the victims of crime. And you listened to the threats against her, and you did nothing to protect her, and you admit that. So let that rest on their conscience. But all that happening in darkness is what? Comes to light. So go ahead and lie. That's my message for them. Go ahead, lie, and lie, and lie again. Go ahead. And you know, to make it with, that wasn't bad enough with he. To make it worse, the then Minister of National Security, Mr. Gary Griffith, is in the papers today saying that while he was in that office, he had no information coming to him that there was a threat against Ms. Sita Hall. So it begs the question, who exactly in UNC had the information? Because according to Parliament's website, the said Minister Sturge was a temporary government senator for the period 23rd April 2013 to 2nd of June 2015. Ms. Sita Hall was assassinated on the 4th of May 2014. So was Mr. Sturge referring to himself when he disclosed the knowledge of the threats against Ms. Sita Hall? Was he referring to the then Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar, who was then the chairman of the National Security Council? Is it the same Kamla Persad-Bissessar who did a reading at Dana Sita Hall's funeral? And that's according to a report in the Daily Express. Again, I didn't make that up. She read a passage in Ms. Sita Hall's funeral. And Minister Sturge saying they knew about the threat, you know. Could you imagine that? I mean, the saying is so true that with friends like them, you ain't need no enemies, you know. The major question, however, is was Minister Sturge confirming a pattern within the UNC of ignoring threats being reported to them? Because Sumer Singh reported the same threat to the then Prime Minister, and he too was not given any security, and no regard for his life was paid, for his family, for his son, who was not yet born. He was born only 3 months after Mr. Sumer Singh's death. Imagine what that family went through. And you have a report of a threat in front of you. So, ladies and gentlemen, the evidence suggests that to be a friend to the UNC is to be in serious trouble. It was trouble for Hansraj Sumer Singh, trouble for Assistant Commissioner of Police Norton Regis, who was allegedly assaulted by Dhanraj Singh. It was trouble for Lurbs, trouble for Danny Guerra, who is known to have supported the campaign of the very same Wayne Sturge, as confirmed by photographs circulating in the media. Not I say so. The same Danny Guerra, according to the same Wayne Sturge, that supported his campaign. It was trouble for Dana Sita Hall, as he self-admitted that it did not lift a finger to save. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the track record of the UNC. This is the standard of performance we know to expect from them. This is the kind of travesty that will continue to befall the people of Trinidad and Tobago for as long as the UNC holds any public office. And this is why we must be prepared that come local government elections, we will get rid of the UNC. We will vote them out. The UNC has no place in government anywhere. They cannot run this place. The only party in Trinidad and Tobago with the political fortitude, the political experience, the political integrity, the political education to run this country well is the People's National Movement under the leadership of the Honorable Pennelope Beckles Robinson. And that is why it is after 70 years the People's National Movement is still standing, ladies and gentlemen. Regardless of how they attack us, be upstanding for the political leader.
Ladies and gentlemen, assist me in welcoming the political leader of the People's National Movement, the opposition leader of Trinidad and Tobago, the next Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, the Member of Parliament for Arima, the Honorable Pennelope Beckles. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome our political leader, our Prime Minister in waiting, the first female political leader of the PNM. Let's make way in this massive crowd in HORQUETTA as we welcome again our first female political leader of the PNM, our opposition leader, our Member of Parliament for Arima, the next Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, Honorable Pennelope Beckles. Let's welcome her.
Ladies and gentlemen, make some noise for the next Prime Minister, the Honorable Pennelope Beckles Robinson. Madam Political Leader, welcome to HORQUETTA, TALPARO, but you need no welcome at all. The Political Leader had been walking earlier, even before most of us were here, so I can't welcome her. In fact, she might be more at home than some of us here. But ladies and gentlemen, as I was concluding, I will repeat, the only party in Trinidad and Tobago with the political fortitude, the political experience, the political integrity, the political education to run this country well is the People's National Movement under the leadership of Pennelope Beckles Robinson. And that is why, after 70 years, the PNM is still standing. Regardless of how they attack us, blame us, vilify us, persecute us, we will always remain standing because we stand on the side of God. We stand on the side of the people. We stand on the side of Trinidad and Tobago because great is the PNM. Great is the PNM. Great is the PNM. And we shall prevail.
Go down, keep your head above the water. One day, things must get better.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a round of applause for our youngest deputy political leader, Senator Sanjeev Boodoo. And as he indicated, we are standing in defense of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. PNM people, assist me in welcoming our Lady Vice Chairman, the Honorable Nyan Gadsby Dali, the Member of Parliament for St. Anne's East. Is there anyone from Laventille East? Move over. Let's welcome the Member of Parliament, Mr. Christian Birchwan. Our next speaker is a veteran in the Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago and a senior voice in our party's caucus. As a Member of Parliament, she brings decades of legislative experience and institutional knowledge of frontline politics. She has served our country in numerous high-level capacities and continues to be a vocal advocate for her constituents and the principles of the PNM in the House of Representatives. She stands as a fierce defender against those who seek to rewrite the history of Trinidad and Tobago. Ladies and gentlemen, she served as the former Lady Vice Chairman of the PNM. She served as the former Minister of Housing and Urban Development. She served us as the former Attorney General of Trinidad and Tobago. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming the Member of Parliament for Trin-City Maloney, the Honorable Camille Robinson Regis.
Just a little harder. If we just give one more try, life would be much sweeter.
Political leader and leader of the opposition, Member of Parliament for Rima, Honorable Pennelope Beckles Robinson, members of the leadership of the People's National Movement, ladies and gentlemen, persons listening to us tonight and viewing us tonight, citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, good evening. Yes, even the traitors. Ladies and gentlemen, before I start, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank those of you who held me in your prayers and in your thoughts during the time that I was not well. And I thank you very, very much for that. The citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, quite a number of them sent me messages, and I deeply appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Good evening to the patriots who still believe that Trinidad and Tobago deserves proper governance, responsible leadership, and a government that understands the sacred duty of service. Tonight, I stand before you not just as a Member of Parliament, not just as a proud member of the PNM, but as a citizen who, with other citizens and members of the PNM, refuse to remain silent while this country is being dragged through confusion, mismanagement, national embarrassment, and poor governance. Because, let us speak plainly tonight. Almost 1 year into office, and I am so fed up, and I am certain that you are so fed up. It is 11 months and it feeling like 11 years of hard labor. And CAMLA 2.0 is worse than CAMLA 2010 to 2015. It's pressure on the population, hardship for families, confusion across ministries, and embarrassment on the regional and international stage. As Dr. Eric Williams warned us, the alternative to the PNM is chaos and confusion. And ladies and gentlemen, we are living chaos and confusion in real time. Taxes like rain, confusion in policy after confusion in policy, embarrassment after embarrassment, state of emergency again after state of emergency. And perhaps one of the greatest embarrassments is watching the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago travel to regional and international meetings, and instead of building partnerships and strengthening cooperation, she chooses confrontation and insult. Imagine representing Trinidad and Tobago at CARICOM, where we are leaders in CARICOM, and instead of building regional unity, the result is attacking fellow leaders and insulting partner states. No diplomacy, no statesmanship, no leadership, and believe me, it is international and regional embarrassment. All of us here embarrassed. Tell me I'm not talking the truth. And in addition to that, we feel as though we're living in a dictatorship. A government talking about controlling what citizens say online and in person. Ministers proposing legislation to police what people share on social media. Ministers threatening the voices of ordinary citizens simply because we are speaking out. That is not democracy. That is not freedom. That is definitely the language of dictatorship. And when a government begins to fear the voices of its own people, it means only one thing. They know they are failing and failing badly. They are downright incompetent. CAMLA 2.0 has assembled what may very well be the most unprepared and incompetent cabinet in the history of Trinidad and Tobago. Ministers who can't read, ministers who can't talk, ministers who can't articulate policy, ministers who can't answer basic questions, ministers who are completely out of their depth. They are incompetent from captain to cook. And that high level of incompetence is matched only by their high level of arrogance and disrespect toward the people of Trinidad and Tobago. They disrespecting their own people, as you rightly said. And this is why this government stumbles from one mistake to another like a ship without a captain, because clearly it is the blind leading the blind. Can you believe, ladies and gentlemen, that last Friday, when the citizenry stopped everything to hear the Prime Minister's statement on her trip to meet with President Trump, she told this country the astonishing claim that it is the first time in 50 years that a Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago has met with or been invited to meet a President of the United States. Ladies and gentlemen, that is a downright lie. Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, A.N.R. Robinson, met with U.S. President George H.W. Bush on October 9th, 1990. They discussed bilateral relations and regional issues. And Prime Minister George Chambers met with U.S. President Ronald Reagan. And there is evidence of this in the Reagan Presidential Library. And Chambers served during the tense period in Caribbean-U.S. relations, taking a stand against foreign intervention in regional affairs. He was the sitting chairman of CARICOM, and he met with Ronald Reagan. Patrick Manning met with George Bush, and out of that meeting came support and documents that advanced the Piarco Airport scandal that our deputy political leader reminded us about. Dr. Rowley, even before Dr. Rowley, Patrick Manning also met with Barack Obama. He met with Barack Obama for the Summit of the Americas, and we all remember that. Then we get to Prime Minister Rowley. On May 3rd, 2022, he met with Senator Chris Dodd, and they worked together for the Summit of Americas that would have been held from June 6th to 10th in Los Angeles. The agenda for discussion, when eventually the Prime Minister Rowley met with President Biden, was post-COVID recovery, climate change, energy security, regional security cooperation. It was a working luncheon. At that meeting was Vice President Kamala Harris. They also discussed agriculture, and Guyanese President Irfan Ali was the lead in that. They also discussed finance and the economy because of the issue of de-risking. Remember, the US had promised to de-risk our banks so that they could no longer work with foreign exchange. And the leader of that was Prime Minister Mia Mottley. They discussed drug trafficking from US to the CARICOM region. The CARICOM collectively demanded greater engagement and regional assistance for the violent gun crimes, and for the US to start legislation against the use of guns. Ladies and gentlemen, in the face of this serious approach to diplomacy and to all of these prime ministers who met with various presidents, how does a visit for a photo opportunity and a lime at Joy's Roti Shop measure up? And every single time Dr. Rowley had these meetings and other meetings and traveled overseas, he would have a press conference at the airport or the next day at Whitehall or the diplomatic centers. And at these meetings, he would be quizzed by the media. Ladies and gentlemen, a total fabrication by Kamla Prasad Bissessar. But look at what she is celebrating today. You heard what I said about all the diplomatic interventions. All Kamla seems to have gotten from her meeting with President Trump were a few jokes regarding her name, and I sincerely hope that she didn't tell him that his name was that of a slave master, and a pen. You all saw how excited she was with the pen? But I hope that the pen is also a wand, because that witch needs to have a wand to help us. And now, we hearing wild accusations that Balize House, or as Kamla would say, Balize House, the historic headquarters of the PNM, was somehow built with drug money. First of all, we have owned Balize House since the 1960s. They have no home. For the renovations to Balize House and for the building of the new building there, we raise funds the old-fashioned way. Hard work, sacrifice, the support of thousands of patriotic citizens. We held more than 15 raffles and raffled 15 motor vehicles. We raised millions of dollars through grassroots funding and the generosity of benefactors. It was Dr. Rowley himself, along with Fitzgerald Hines, who stood in places like Massey West Mall and Price Mart in Movietown selling raffle tickets. It was Rohan Sinanan, people like Foster Cummings, people like Stuart Young, people like Donna Cox, people like Lennox Ratan Singh, and so many more. And don't forget people like me, who sold raffle tickets, who made sure that we had money to renovate Balize House and to start that building, that edifice that is going up on Tranquility Street. And ladies and gentlemen, we are in no way associated with any drug mafia. And no amount of reckless propaganda will rewrite that history. This is just another attempt by the Prime Minister to gaslight the population into discrediting the PNM, and we will have none of it. Ladies and gentlemen, and I'm talking to Kamla directly, if you have evidence that we built Balize House or renovated Balize House on drug money, take it to the police. Take it to the police. If you have evidence that we have pedophiles in the PNM, take it to the police. If you have evidence that independent senators wanted a bribe, take it to the police. And as my mother used to say, the upholder is worse than the thief. So you are a big upholder. You are the head of the National Security Council. Take all your information to the police and stop talking lies about our political leader, about the leadership of the PNM, about our former political leaders. Take your stupid evidence to the police. We of the PNM know what leadership is about. We understand governance. We understand how to treat the people of Trinidad and Tobago. But what we are witnessing under this government is not leadership. It is confusion wrapped in contradiction. It is allegations, counter-allegations, threats to citizens, and now a complete dependence on the United States security shield to manage our own crime crisis. And while she talks unadulterated hogwash about the PNM, the country sinks deeper and deeper into the morass of unbridled crime. Not only murders, ladies and gentlemen. Every day we hear about a home invasion, kidnapping, fraud, shootings, robbery. Imagine we are on day 75, and my understanding is we are already 70 murders in this country, but we are in a perpetual state of emergency. A waste of time because it is not helping anyone. And I am not the only one saying that, because if you saw the editorial in The Guardian today, you would understand that the media is also of the same opinion. And I take this opportunity to quote parts of that editorial. And I quote, "The result of it all is a confusing entanglement containing allegations, counters, threats against members of the population, weak legislation in need of being updated, and a reliance on the US established shield to take care of Trinidad and Tobago's security from the international trade in drugs. From all of the happenings over the last week, the criminal elements must have concluded that such pose no immediate and deep threat to their operations. They therefore were free to gun down Gera, unafraid of being caught and prosecuted. An outsider exposed to the news can easily conclude that crime continues to have a chokehold on the country, while politicians and Prime Minister Prasad Bisesa seeks to reassure that TNT's sovereignty remains intact, notwithstanding its dependence on the agenda and surveillance of the United States. There was even what turned out to be a comic tragedy when Defense Minister Wayne Sturge sought to heap coals on a former PNM government for failing to respond positively to prevent the murder of Attorney Dana Sitahal, when in fact it was the UNC which was in power at the relevant time. Moreover, and seeming to compound the error of the minister, the UNC Minister of National Security of the relevant period, Gary Griffith, denied that he ever received information that Sitahal's life was in danger. Adding a few steps to the crime tango, Attorney General John Jeremy had the new state of emergency passed into law with a serious warning to citizens who may seek to make threats against the Prime Minister. And this is what your Attorney General said. In some territories, if you threaten the Prime Minister, you go to jail for that, Jeremy warned, with a chilling addition that in other territories, you are shot for that. End of quote. That is our Attorney General threatening citizens who may speak against the Prime Minister that they could be killed for that. But ladies and gentlemen, that is what we face in Trinidad and Tobago. And what has become the hallmark of this government of confusion exists very unashamedly in the Ministry of Housing and Urban Development, exists in the HDC. Just like the HDC chairman and the 3 ministers terrorizing housing applicants and contractors, the housing sector is in a state of collapse. A ministry that should be building homes is instead building confusion. A government that promised opportunity is delivering chaos and sorrow. And a leadership that campaigned on hope is now drowning in incompetence. Since April 28, the Ministry of Housing has been on a downward spiral. 3 ministers to do the job of 1 minister. Pennelope Beckles, she was a Minister of Housing. Marlene MacDonald, she was a Minister of Housing. Randall Mitchell, he was a Minister of Housing. Adrian Leons, he was a Minister of Housing. And of course, the best Minister of Housing ever, Camille Robinson-Regis. I don't know if you all heard that part. The best Minister of Housing ever. 3 ministers to do the job that 1 of us was doing. 3 ministers, and not 1 of them seems capable of running the ministry properly. 3 ministers, and the country still cannot get basic answers. 3 ministers, and yet the HDC is operating like a ship without a captain. Imagine the chairman of the HDC doing his own thing, announcing policies that the ministers don't know a thing about. And when you ask poor David Lee, he said, I am not aware of that policy. And when he's not aware of that policy, the Prime Minister saying, yes, that is the policy, but the minister don't know anything. Any of these 3 ministers you all could trust? Or is it the chairman of the HDC operating like a rogue authority? But then again, that chairman has plenty time on his hands, because whilst he's the chairman of the HDC, he's also the program manager of the non-existent URP, collecting a fat salary for doing nothing. And Anil Roberts, he had so much to say when he sat in opposition. Well, today he is minister in the Ministry of Housing, and he has done nothing. He says nothing, absolutely nothing, just like Schultz. He too collecting a fat salary and doing nothing. Nothing. And let us not forget the UNC's mouthpiece, Philip Alexander. Every day talking, but today, with a housing sector in crisis, he is silent. And the ministry itself, ladies and gentlemen, has been gutted. They gutted it, they stripped it, they took away key responsibilities. You all remember the HVIP program, where squatters' houses were improved, They got free houses, as we used to say, free, 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 free. Now, nothing like that. We don't even know what the LSA is doing. Remember the home improvement grants? That has been removed from the Ministry of Housing. The ministry today is a shell of what it once was. Numerous workers have been sent home. Families have been disrupted. Communities have been affected. And there is no plan to replace them. Nothing that is going to make any sense. And then we come to two of the most egregious decisions made by this government as it relates to housing. Do you remember that the HDC chairman announced plans to regularize squatters occupying state housing units? The government said it was considering giving homes to people who illegally occupied them, people who forced out legitimate tenants, people who broke the law. And when the chairman was asked why, he said removing them would be a lengthy process. So it was better to just leave them there. And the Prime Minister telling us that Trinidad and Tobago is a lawless dump. It's they who making this place lawless. They making this place lawless. Because what message does that send to thousands of law-abiding citizens on the HDC waiting list? Another decision that they made, and that is homeowners being told that their descendants must pay an inheritance tax for their parents' homes to be transferred to them. They are just wicked. They're evil. And while they're doing that, Caroni workers can transfer their lands for free. Free. And they haven't stopped there, ladies and gentlemen. They are punishing the hardworking people of Trinidad and Tobago. Houses that were signed mortgages by people who were getting houses. The house price was $575,000. Now they are receiving letters that the price is now $750,000. Additionally, persons who are assigned houses in Cora, beautiful homes, those units have been taken away from them, and the UNC is giving those units to their friends and family. These people have also decided that the Edinburgh Towers, that was to be rental units, is now going to be the head office of the HDC. You all could believe that? Homes for families being turned into office space. Unbelievable. But ladies and gentlemen, two policies that are hallmarks of the PNM are education and housing. You will recall that the other good Minister of Housing, and I'm not talking about Penny, under the Patrick Manning regime, Keith Rowley, in 10 years, built approximately 27,000 housing units all over the country. The UNC between 2010 and 2015 built about 3,000 units, and those houses were what we started and they were finishing. Between 2015 and 2025, under Marlene McDonald, as I said, the late Marlene McDonald, Randall Mitchell, Penny Beckles, Adrian Leons, and yours truly, we built upwards of 10,000 housing units. And when we left office, 2,500 were under construction all over this country. Malabar, Corinth, Buenentento, Moruga, Cowra, Mount Hope, Bonnet Gardens, St. Augustine, Bonnet West, Mahogany Court, Citrus Growers, La Horquetta and Greenvale. And today, they have not built one single house. They're not even finishing the ones we started. So I asked Jerlene John tonight, where are the 500 houses per week that you promised? I asked David Lee, where are the 500 houses per week that you promised the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago? And they're not stopping there, ladies and gentlemen. Now we are hearing about a new company called Landmark T&T Properties Limited, a state land investment and development public-private partnership to, as they say, and this is under Saddam Hussein, this is to bridge the gap between land availability and the increasing demand for unsubsidized, high-quality housing. In other words, another scheme where their rich friends and financiers can get their hands on state land at peppercorn rates. By electing the UNC Intergovernment, ladies and gentlemen, we have put cat to watch butter. And today, on your behalf, I repeat the questions I have asked about this policy. What is the exact legal and administrative basis for transferring state lands under this new structure? What is the criteria for beneficiaries? Who is conducting the valuation of these lands? Can individuals who already own land qualify? Will HDC applicants qualify for this land? Ladies and gentlemen, the issue before us is a lack of governance. The issue before us is irresponsibility. The issue before us is lack of honesty. The issue before us is a government that does not know how to govern Trinidad and Tobago. But the People's National Movement believes in something different. We believe in fairness. We believe in order. We believe in good governance. We believe in homes for the people of Trinidad and Tobago. And when it comes, again, for us to take charge of this country, the PNM will be ready. Ready to restore integrity, ready to restore competence, ready to restore good governance to Trinidad and Tobago. So tonight, from this platform, I say to the government, stop the chaos, stop the confusion, stop the hypocrisy, and start governing this beautiful country. Because the people of Trinidad and Tobago deserve better, and the People's National Movement will continue to fight for them in every nook and cranny, every single day. Because we know, and the country knows, that great is the PNM. Great is the PNM. Great is the PNM. And we shall prevail. Thank you.
And if the goods we require them, your manager's not supplying. When election time come back wrong, it's new ones we bring in. But if it's one thing about my people, I could guarantee.
Let's hear it one more time, ladies and gentlemen, for the Member of Parliament for Trinity Maloney, the Honourable Camille Robinson Reti.
And our people need us today more than
La Horquetta Talparo. Anybody here from La Horquetta? I can't hear you. Is there anybody here from La Horquetta? Do you remember this name? Foster Cummings. Do you remember when there was a vision for HORQUETTA to become the next city in Trinidad and Tobago? Do you remember when young Chelsea said, one Foster, never two? Ladies and gentlemen, he has been serving in the Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago since 2007. That is almost 20 years. He has served our party as the youth officer male. He has served our party as the field officer. And he currently serves as the most progressive general secretary this party has ever seen. It is upon his shoulders that the foundation of this new Balize House building lies. He oversaw that project from start to finish, ladies and gentlemen. It is upon his shoulders that hundreds and thousands of young people had the opportunity in this country for training after training after training, regardless of what sphere or what level of education you had. His was the distinction of serving as the Member of Parliament for this very constituency. He served as the Minister of Youth Development and National Service. He served as Parliamentary Secretary in the Ministry of Works and Transport. Ladies and gentlemen, he is the General of the Red Army. Please welcome my brother, Senator Foster Cummings.
They will never ever take my crown. Oh, Jah bless, I say no man curse. Things getting better when they thought it would be worse. Here comes the officers asking for a search. They found no weapon, just only a drawers. But I'm so solid as a rock, they just can't stop me now. Even when they set their traps, they just can't stop me now. People will say this and that, they just can't stop me now. They can't keep a good man down, always keep a smile when they want me to frown. Keep the vibes and I stood my ground. They will never ever take my crown. Oh, Jah bless, I say no man curse. Things getting better when they thought it would be worse. Here comes the officers asking for a search. They found no weapon, just only a drawers. But I'm so solid as a rock, they just can't stop me now.
The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, for thou art with me, thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of the UNC. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Balize forever and ever. Amen. One who knows that the word is Balize and not Bajije. I walked with her today in HORQUETTA, and she was received with love and passion by the people of HORQUETTA TALPARO. Give a warm welcome to the political leader of the People's National Movement, the Member of Parliament for Arima, and the opposition leader of Trinidad and Tobago, the Honorable Pennelope Beckles Robinson. Our deputy political leader, I'm told he's the youngest person to ever hold that office. the Honorable Sanjeev Budu. A stalwart of the PNM. You listen to our talk tonight? They will come for you tomorrow. But don't worry, you live in the same house I've just spoke about in Psalm 23. The Honorable Member of Parliament, what is the name of the constituency now? For Trent City, Maloney, the Honorable Camille Robinson Reggie. The chairman of the Tunapuna Piako Corporation, Josiah Austin, who spoke earlier. Our youth speaker, give her a round of applause. She was remarkable. And the beautiful officers and members of the PNM, my colleagues in the parliament, residents of La HORQUETTA, still the city in the making, might be on pause for a while because you somehow elected incompetence. But as soon as the PNM returns to government, La HORQUETTA TALPARO will return to the development program that the PNM had in place for it. We had somebody in the PNM underperforming. We dealt with it in the way that we deal with underperformers. The UNC pick it up, bring it to you, dust it off, put it in a blue and yellow jersey, bring it to you and tell you when UNC win, everybody win. Promise a little child today told us she got $40 on a jersey from them. Poor child can't even vote. To jump around and say when UNC win, everybody lose. And today, when you look east, you see La HORQUETTA Public Library 5 stories high. That is PNM at work. Next to the library is a brand new community center, a PNM project, unfortunately built by an incompetent contractor who is now your MP. Spent 5 years on the project, could not complete it. They had to put somebody else to finish it. The library contractor came 4 years after, finished the library in less than 1 year. The community center cannot open up to today.
You go learn.
They need to get some good Baptists and go by that center with some calabash. The place like it blight. We had a new community center under construction in Greenvale. The project was about 65% completed. Like Greenvale and deserve no community center, they stopped the project in Greenvale. In Wallerfield, Jacob Hill, we had another community center under construction. They stopped that too. Right here in La HORQUETTA, the regional complex, we awarded a contract for the refurbishment that started just before the election. They stopped that too. And they say when UNC win, everybody win, but not PNM people. The swimming pool, up to now, the children cannot use it because it's non-functional. We know it has some age. So as a government, we decided to build a brand new swimming pool. UDCOT went through the contract procedure, procurement. A tender was awarded. We turned the sod, contractor on the site. Up comes your new Minister of Sport, your Member of Parliament, stop your new community, your new swimming pool in La HORQUETTA. Ask him about that. It was supposed to be right there in phase 2. They closed it down. The government of Keith Rowley approved a new secondary school for La HORQUETTA at a cost of $200 million. Look, the former Minister of Education sitting in the front seat. They canceled that project too. Ladies and gentlemen, in addition to all of that, La HORQUETTA TALPARO had 15 CPEP contractors, and multiply that by how many other CPEP workers per contractor. They say corruption in CPEP. They shut it down and send all of the workers home. Well, if you say there is corruption, well, you would know about corruption because you were in government from 2010 to 2015, the most corrupt period in Trinidad and Tobago was under Kamla Prasad Bisasa in 2010 to 2015. Everybody know that across the world. But I understand in the last year, it's more corruption than the last 5 years they had from 2010 to 2015. They take the OPR procedure and push it under a bed somewhere. You remember when they were campaigning here, they pay a young man to say I had a bed in the MP office? They like bed. No OPR procedure anymore. They're right now busy. They look for, they're paying people to come and make allegations against PNM people. I have the notes here, but I will save that for another day. One of them drink some Grey Goose, go on in the parliament and say Eric Williams, Balize House, built with drug money. You have no headquarters whatsoever. You can't even pronounce Balize. Minister, MP Regis told you, we love the PNM. We born in the PNM. When we set up building fund, we don't watch it on stoops. We just take our little kakada and carry Balize House and put it in the building fund. We keep raffle. We keep September Fair. We keep PNM big red fat. You want to know where the money come from? It ain't come from the money that built the place down in Philippines. It ain't come from there. About drug money. The only drugs we know about is the drugstore. Panadol and paracetamol. But you want to make headlines. You want to appear to the world that uses big drug buster. But your candidates were jumping up in campaign not too long ago with people who have that kind of reputation. Right here and all around Trinidad and Tobago. Now you're trying to distance yourself. And you know this song, Nearer My God to Thee? Some of them fellas, you know when they sing that song, that's a funeral song. Some of them fellas who campaign with them know how to start to sing Nearer My God to Thee because they don't know when. They don't know when the shot going to call. That is association with the UNC. I told you all, I from Couva, I know them. They're born on McBean Stretch in a place called Renzi Complex. I know all of them by name and number. I could call them out when I see them, no matter how you dress them up. No matter if you put them in Superman outfit. I know them. They don't like you. I warned you at the general election campaign, if you put those people in office, they don't like you and they don't like themselves.
You go learn.
Right now, UNC members complaining about them. They wish election could call tomorrow. It have some of you in this audience who got fooled by them and the yellow is the code. I'm glad to see you back in the house of the Balize tonight. Welcome back. Hello. Hey. Welcome home. The doors of the PNM wide open. Come ye that labor and are heavy laden, and we will give you rest. Ladies and gentlemen, this is serious, serious business, you know. The country is in peril. They have decimated the most vulnerable in society. They want to punish you not because there's corruption in CPEP or URP. They want to punish you because you are PNM. That is what it is. If there's corruption in the program, you are in government, you are in charge, fix it and let the poor people work. If there's corruption in CPEP, change the name, call it what you want. Move out whoever running it, put your own people, but let the poor people earn a living in Trinidad and Tobago and send their children to school and buy food for their family. Oh, you reckless, evil people. You care about yourself only. The tears of the poor people are going to fall on your heads. You workers of iniquity. They plan to steal the local government election. The UNC plan to steal the local government election. They realize things going nice. The PNM have itself organized. We have a new leader, and we're going from nook and cranny to make sure the people remember that yellow is the curse. And they know citizens line up to vote them out. The first opportunity that they get. So here is their plan. They like to bust mark. They set up a committee to go and gerrymander the boundaries. Yes? They put on the committee the campaign manager. They put an ex-fella who does be on social media with all kind of racist kind of comments. And they put a committee there full up a UNC and say, go and make recommendations and bring it back for the cabinet to approve. Now they know they can't interfere with the boundaries for polling divisions. That's EBC work. But what they can do, Trinidad and Tobago, is decide that in Tunapuna Piako, they will take out 2 PNM seats, put it in Sawa Baratari, put it in Sawa Lavantil, or put it in Arima, because I hear they plan to move about 2 or 3 to Arima. And when they interfere with it like that, come back and say it's for efficiency. But it's really at the end of the election for them to say, we win 9 and you win the rest. Look out for the trickery. I understand they also plan to interfere with San Fernando. They want to bring some seats from further south and dump it in the San Fernando Corporation. They also want to interfere with San Fernando, Tunapuna, and Point 14. That's where they're heading. I want you to keep your eyes open and watch them. Watch them closely because they like to ball thief, thief, thief. Anybody running down the street shouting thief, 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 watch them. That is the thief running. Let me just check to see how. All right. I use up almost all my time. So I want to tell you a little bit about how they have interfered, how they have messed up the young people of this country. All that the UNC has for the young people of this country is state of emergency, lock you up, detain you. Now, right now, even tonight, we have to watch what we say on this platform, you know. Because if we say something they don't like, we're in a state of emergency. Next thing you're looking for me Monday, you can't find me. because they don't like how I say the word is balisé and not baljigé. Or they want to put Zoso. I hope you all who was beaten red and blue jersey in La HORQUETTA and in Maloney and in all these communities understand what Zoso is. Zoso is that when they come so, all now so, is curfew place locked down. You can't come out of your house. They want to take away rights. They ain't going to put no Zoso where they live in, you know. They're bringing Zoso here for you. So we are in the parliament arguing on your behalf and resisting the attempts by this dictatorship government to take away your rights and your freedoms. We will support no Zoso. I hear one say they're bringing it back, you bring it back, and we will vote it down again. Go so with Zoso. Rock so with Zoso. We don't want no Zoso. What we want is jobs for the people of Trinidad and Tobago. What we want is training programs for the young people. You close down CCC. You close down the Youth Agricultural Homestead Program. You close down Hoist. You close down Fuse. You close down Pipe. You close down Crips. You close down RAP. You close down Drive. You close down every youth development program that the PNM put for the young people of this country. And we will remember. We will remember. Power is not for everybody, you know. It has some of them, they're drunk on power, you know. They didn't expect to be inside there. They put a fella from Vancouver to run AGC. He inside there making money, man. You know his money, man? He don't know what he's doing. Come here, Regis told you one day he come and say, all squatters, all you come. Well, you know when he made that announcement, even people who were not squatting, break down UAGC door, take over house because they're expecting to get regularized. What absolute illegal behavior is that? Every Monday morning, calling press question, faster. 500 million. Well, you know, some only believe I have $500 million. I come into the meeting, a man say, give me some of that big money there, boy. Don't fall for their propaganda and their lies. They're out to deceive you. I want to ask you tonight, here in La HORQUETTA, because you know I love you all. You know I love you all. Even those like the prodigal sons and daughters. I love all of you. But I'm saying to you tonight, the answer to decency in Trinidad and Tobago rests with the PNM. And we have a leader. You know the leader name? Penny Beckles. Penny Beckles. Leading the charge to take us triumphantly to victory whenever the elections are called in Trinidad and Tobago. La HORQUETTA TALPARO. Young people of Trinidad and Tobago, there is hope ahead. The PNM is waiting to take us out of the gutter that the UNC has taken us into. Great is the PNM. Great is the PNM. Great is the PNM. And we shall prevail.
You will learn.
Always keep a smile when they want me to frown. Keep the vibes and I stood my ground. They will never ever take my crown.
Ladies and gentlemen, the only answer to chaos in Trinidad and Tobago is the People's National Movement. And as our General Secretary just said, we don't want your chaos. We want jobs. We want programs for young people of Trinidad and Tobago. We want good governance. And you know, honestly, I don't know what young people did to this UNC, you know, but they're coming out for them. But here in the PNM, we are the host. We are the home for young persons. Ladies and gentlemen, assist me in welcoming member of the HORQUETTA Movers Sports and Culture Committee, none other than the young Miss Mercedes Moraldo. Let's welcome Miss Morales, who's going to do a piece for us.
I go for Sandy, go shut in 5 minutes. So on the mountain gets away. Because the water been to the fire. I know that mission will be low. Every way turn I see people smiling. We don't see no creed and race. So what nobody tell me about it. If I feel everything and this is in place. Take me home. Take me home. Take me to a place somewhere I don't know. Everybody shouting out, Friday, it's a very damn deal. Time me, and I'm looking for me to find me. Friday, and I be doing me on it. Friday, it's a very damn deal. Don't time me. Take me home, take me home, take me home. Wake me up before I fall asleep. Take me to a place that must be. Mommy to the heart of water spade. So if I ever leave a bone to come again. All I always fire and all this world so crazy, yeah. Take me out and Father we pray. Until the very end of the days. Take me home. Take me home. Take me to a place where I can feel no pain.
Let's give young Miss Morales a lusty round of applause. La HORQUETTA again, good evening. We have come to the pinnacle of this evening's meeting. We are at a season where as a nation, we are crying out for leadership. We are crying out for experience. We are crying out for compassion. The woman that I'm about to introduce is a daughter from the constituency of San Fernando and adopted in Arima. She's a titan of the Red Army. And she didn't just join the PNM yesterday, no. She has started in the trenches, working since from party group number 2 in 1991, and has never turned her back from the PNM. She is a proud student, alumni of the University of the West Indies, a distinguished attorney at law, and a woman who has broken every glass put towards her. She has served as the first Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives. She has represented us on the national world stage at the United Nations. And on May 6, 2025, she made history as the first woman in our 70th anniversary as a party to be the political leader of the People's National Movement. But La HORQUETTA, and she didn't just stop there, no. We in the PNM on June 2025 ensured that we gave her the guardianship of political leadership of the People's National Movement. So phase 5, allow me and assist me in welcoming the Member of Parliament for Arima, the former ambassador of the United Nations. Ladies and gentlemen, assist me in welcoming the leader of the opposition. Assist me in welcoming the next Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. Ladies and gentlemen, our first female political leader, none other than Honorable Pennelope Beckles Robinson.
Step out of my dreams to my real life. This girl, I wanna know you feel like, yeah. Come closer to me, let the stars align, yeah. In the middle of the night, you bring the sunshine. Miss Lady, she have a pot on the fire, burn a flame when she cooking, yeah. She have a government name, but I call she good looking. Oh, good night, everybody. And she look innocent, but she know what she do.
Okay, good night, everyone. How are you feeling? Let me, first of all, thank all of you for making the time to come here tonight in HORQUETTA. Thank you very much. I'm so happy to see so many of you out here tonight. And let me join with everyone else in, of course, acknowledging my colleagues at the head table, Senator Sanjeev Budu, Deputy Political Leader, my colleague and sister, the Honorable Camille Robinson-Regis, Member of Parliament for Trin City Maloney, your former Member of Parliament, Senator the Honorable Foster Cummings, our Youth Speaker Chelsea Wellington, and of course, Chairman of the Tunapuna Piarco Regional Corporation, Josiah Austin. My other deputy political leaders, my many colleagues from the Parliament, councillors, and of course, to acknowledge my husband, Mr. Noel Robinson. Good night, everyone. I had the opportunity this afternoon to walk with Senator Cummings and several other members of Parliament and to listen to the people of HORQUETTA TALPARO, to listen to you about your concerns, about your neglect. I had the good fortune to talk to a number of young people. And I would say that having had the great fortune to represent a large part of HORQUETTA TALPARO before, I was just totally shocked to see what is happening with that ground in phase 6 and 7. Those were the two phases that we walked. To listen to the number of young people who want to play cricket, who want to play football, and one cannot believe that this government has allowed that ground to reach into that condition. One cannot believe that when you look at that community center, they would not open that community center. And it is unbelievable the way that they are allowing HORQUETTA and environs to deteriorate. We in the PNM understand your pain, and we give you the assurance that when we return to government, your community center will be open. We will complete the community center in Greenvale. We will ensure that the pool that was due to start last year, that we will make sure that that pool is constructed. The community center in Wallerfield, we will make sure that that is also constructed. And the youth facility, where all the equipment has been removed, we assure you that the People's National Movement will build that youth facility. So I'm starting off very early because having walked, I listened to your pain, I listened to your cries, I listened to the disappointment of those of you who believed when UNC wins that the people of La HORQUETTA TALPARO would have won, and that is not the case. But let me take the time tonight to say to you that you cannot trust this government, because I'm warning you, elections will be called, local elections, and they're going to come back to you and lie again. And some of you are going to believe them. I am begging you, take this period that you have and be very careful. Take your time and watch them and listen to them, and you would see the level of deceit, the level of wickedness of this UNC government. And there are a couple areas that I want to share with you. And let me first of all start in dealing with the issue of crime. Not every single issue, but a couple issues. And let us talk about the radar. Because I'm hoping that you have realized that the radar has disappeared. The radar came and the radar left. It was just a week ago that the Prime Minister said that the President of the United States was paying $3 million a day for the maintenance of that radar. You all heard that? All of a sudden, the radar disappeared. You would never believe that there was a radar in Tobago. And people of Trinidad and Tobago, people of La HORQUETTA TALPARO, people of Arima, people of Sandy Grande, people of Trinity Maloney, listen very carefully. You all would remember that when that radar was put up within record time, the Prime Minister said that she could not tell the Chief Secretary about the radar. It was sensitive information. You would recall that one of the things they told us is that radar will help us to detect crime. You all remember that? You remember that they told us that that radar helped them to detect the drug bust in Karen. You remember that? And you remember at that time, the commissioner said that he did not send out the police because of the mosquitoes. You remember that? So here it is. This radar that was going to help this government to detect crime, they take back the radar. Now, if you are not careful, these people will convince you that a dog is an elephant. Because they lie so comfortably and they forget. So the radar gone. Let us wait and see what information they're going to give us about that radar. We must not allow this government to continue to mislead the population, because too often we allow them to mislead us. Now you heard the Honorable Camille Robinson Regis explain to you all the previous, almost every single Prime Minister from the People's National Movement had the opportunity to meet with a president from the United States, whether it is George Bush, whether it is Barack Obama, whether it is Joe Biden, all had the opportunity. Now, the point is, technology allows you very quickly. If you Google, you would quickly see that Mr. Manning met with Obama. And following that meeting, the Summit of Americas was held right here in Trinidad and Tobago. Barack Obama came right here in Trinidad and Tobago. And you ask yourself, is it that people in the UNC forgetting? Or is it that they're just lying? Because you could Google it. You can Google and see that Patrick Manning met with George Bush. You can Google and see that Dr. Keith Rowley met with Joe Biden. I mean, why would somebody say that they are the first prime minister in 50 years to meet a president, of the United States? Ask yourself. Why would you say that? Because the children are listening, Trump himself is listening, and all the other previous presidents are listening. And they're asking themselves, is that the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago? We tell ourselves, when people there's life for small things, there's life for big things, and there's life for everything. And that is what we are finding out. So when you have to make a decision later on, when general elections and local elections come, you must ask yourself, can you believe anything this government is telling you? But let us go a little further as we talk about crime. You remember Stand Your Ground legislation. They wanted to kill the PNM. They want to support. They were telling you that under Stand Your Ground legislation, home invasions will be no more. The legislation has been passed and assented to. All you hear, whether they lock up anybody under Stand Your Ground legislation, you all hear of anything? So let us now come a little closer to home. The state of emergency that is supposed to solve all the problems for the people of Trinidad and Tobago, and you will have this great crime reduction. Ask yourself, do you feel safer under this UNC government? Let us go back to 2011, because we must know our history. You must know your history, because similar to the last time when they got into office, the same Kamala Persad-Bissessar got into office in 2010. Within a very short space of time, she called a state of emergency, because they would have you believe that there was so much crime in Trinidad and Tobago that if they did not have this state of emergency, Trinidad and Tobago will literally disappear because of crime. So lo and behold, 2011, state of emergency. I don't know if you all recall, more than 8,000 people were taken into custody. How many people were charged? Millions and millions of dollars were paid to the several persons that they held because people were held unlawfully. You come back again, you get into office, 2025, and within a year, 2 states of emergency. Extensions. And ask yourself again, hundreds of people locked up. How many people have been charged? How many people have been convicted? Do you feel any safer? And they would have you believe that the PNM does not want to support anything to deal with the issue of crime. Let me just say that to you all. That is furthest from the truth. They cannot call our country a lawless dump. The Prime Minister who refuses to make herself available to the public, to the media, so that you can ask her questions. She continues to hide. I call her the invisible Bajon. Because this is a situation where she wants to threaten you. Behave yourself, behave yourself. And I tell her, and I say it again, Trinidad and Tobago is not a kindergarten for you to be threatening people. But people of Trinidad and Tobago, this is a very serious matter. Because it cannot be that you have absolutely no crime plan. Your crime plan is the state of emergency. So here it is, 2011, state of emergency, lock up 8,000 people, and less than probably just about 5% of those people, that was a situation where people were eventually charged. Very, very few convicted. But the taxpayers' money had to go to make sure that you pay the thousands of people that you locked up. Here again, Tetron, hundreds of people. And what did they tell you? They told you that there were ministers being threatened. They told you there were members of the judiciary that were being threatened. But yet still, nobody being charged. But they had all of this evidence. And it's important, people, for you all to pay attention. Because you would recall that on the Guardian newspapers, they gave you detail of a certain minister leaving Sandy Grande, traveling on the highway, and people pelting his vehicles and shooting at his vehicles. They had all that evidence, but not a single person was arrested. And you ask yourself, are they speaking the truth or are they lying? So let us come down to the reference made by the Honorable Camille Robinson Regis. You go to the United States and you give this impression that when you come back here, you will have this great news, having met President Trump, and you will be able to tell what are the benefits of your visit. When Mr. Manning went, he gave his press conference, he told you. Dr. Rowley told you. What is happening now? You go to Parliament, you arrive in Trinidad, you say nothing to the press. You go to Parliament when you are supposed to be sharing with the public of Trinidad and Tobago what are the benefits you derive from that visit. And you start to talk about Balize House, and you start to talk about drug trafficking, and you start to talk about pedophile. All that is because you cannot tell us what is the benefit you derive from that visit. And therefore, you're causing a distraction that you cause every time. And I want to link that to the visit when the Prime Minister went to the United Nations and met with Marco Rubio. Remember, they are going to visit Venezuela. They're going by Delcy. They're going to sign the agreement. Oil going to flow like water. Up to now. Up to now. Munilal can't reach Venezuela. Kamla can't reach Venezuela. And whilst they were criticizing the agreement signed by Trinidad and Tobago, by the Honorable Stuart Young and the Honorable Dr. Rowley, they cannot show you one single benefit from those two visits. So I urge you and I warn you, you cannot trust this government. They continue to lie and lie and lie. And they go under the cover of parliamentary privilege to make all kinds of accusations about the People's National Movement. That is what it is. But as Mr. Manning would say, come outside and say it. Come outside and say it. Because if it is, you have all this evidence. You come back from the United States and you say you have a list. You have a list. Show me the list. Show me the list. Because one thing you are very clear about is when it comes to conviction and corruption, check the airport scandal. Their memories are very short, and they feel that Trinidad and Tobago forget the airport scandal. So let us link again why I am warning you about believing anything this government has to say. When we were sleeping, Christmas Eve, and everybody looking forward for a gift from your husband, your wife, something to give your children, they gave us a gift of traffic fines. And they are continuing to do that. And some of you all forget that already until you get a ticket. A simple thing for a light. You go to Caroni and you are waiting 2 days and 3 days sometimes to have a transaction completed. And all because these people are wicked and have no plan. And I want to remind you, the link between their non-performance and their incompetence and convincing some of you that what the People's National Movement was saying to you, that you shouldn't trust us. But I know today that you trust us. What did they say to you? We were very clear. Dr. Rowley said to you, listen, you're going to have to bang your belly a bit. We also said to you, it is important to have property tax, because property tax is what allows you to have improvements on your roads, your schools, your houses, all of those things, all the projects. But no, they tell you no property tax. I hope you remember that a lot of people paid their property tax. And Tanku promised to give it back to you. I wonder how many of you collect the property tax that you paid. Do not let this government get away with their wickedness. So no property tax. But then every Monday morning is a new tax. Traffic fines, landlord tax. People can't even drink a good beer. So that, yeah, well, I didn't think I would say that one. It is almost as though these people have no heart. No heart, they're heartless. Because it is as though they are sitting down every night, every day, trying to find out what is a new tax they could impose on you. As I walked today, I met many mothers and fathers who lost their CPEP job, who lost their URP job, who lost their reforestation job, who can't pay the rent, who can't pay the mortgage. How could people have believed these people when they say when UNC win, you're winning? Well, we're waiting too for that 10%. I mean, how is it that you can tell people that you care and the average mother cannot send their children to school? How? Because you know that. Because those of you who live in communities like these, you are seeing a number of children not going to school. And I ask myself, are they going in the market? Are they going in the grocery? Where are they going? Because if they cared, they will never, never, never be so wicked. How could a prime minister and ministers of government be comfortable knowing that the average person can't pay the rent, can't go in the grocery, can't go in the market, can't buy clothes, can't pay a rent, can't pay a mortgage? Almost 50,000 people have been sent home. And it matters not what community you go in. Whether you go Trinity Maloney, and I see several of my colleagues here, they go Martin West, any part of his constituency, Hans Devines. I saw Simon de Nobrega here, they go Martin Central. I see Laventil West here, Kareem Marcel. Camille is here, Trinity Maloney. And you go through those areas, and the bush is almost as tall as your house. And they're telling you that that was slave labor. That is what they're telling you, that the People's National Movement designed these programs as slave labor. Those same programs that made sure that you could stand tall, that you could be proud, and that you can go and collect your money regularly, whether it be from CPEP, whether it be from URP, whether it be from reforestation, whether it be from Civilian Conservation Corps, whether it be from the multiplicity of youth programs where you're getting a little stipend. They closed down every single one under the disguise of corruption. And it is not as though that you are seeing employment even in their own constituencies. Because let me remind you that a couple months ago, when they had thousands of people in Central, recruitment drive, and they told you during the campaign, 50,000 jobs they're going to create. Do you remember that? 50,000 jobs. And you had young people, old people, everybody who believed this government. They went there, full out their phones. And there it was again, the Prime Minister boasting about the recruitment drive. Lie! Because you must ask yourself, in all the communities that you come from, tell me if you know of one person that got a job under that recruitment drive. This is a government. Once your contract has ended, that is it for you. So it's not only CPEP, it's not only URP, it's not only reforestation, but persons working in the several ministries, as soon as your contract has ended, they are not renewing your contract. And I know, as I walk in the market, so many of you asking, Ms. Beckles, when is elections? Because you had enough. Fed up with this government. What I'm urging you, be careful. Pay attention. Pay attention, and it matters not. And my last link to this whole matter is the issue of unemployment and payment, non-payment of salaries. Your pension late, your salary late, your grant late, and they are now changing every policy. So if you're applying for self-help, it's new. If you're applying for any grant, it's new. I raised a matter recently in the parliament about the fact that there are people now waiting for their pension 2 years and 3 years, and there is no officer. And they were very upset about the fact that I raised that issue. But I'm sure there are many of you here who are going to Tunapuna and are going to Sawa, and there is no officer there for you to be able to get your public assistance, to be able to get your disability grant, and to be able to get your pension. And all of that is because this government does not care. I'm very conscious of the fact that it looks like the rain is coming down a bit. Yeah, that's a blessing, right? But people do not take what these people are saying lightly. Do not take it lightly. You are now in a position where you can compare what the People's National Movement did during the period 2015 to 2025. You have the opportunity to compare. Even during COVID, when things were rough and challenging, not a single person was sent home. Not a single person lost their jobs or didn't get their salary on time. We found ourselves in a situation where, because of technology and because of COVID, you couldn't go to the bank. You couldn't go and get your traditional meal. I wouldn't call the meal. Almost caused drama because you couldn't get this meal, and the government designed a plan and put policies in place to ensure that you got your salary on time. So the last thing I want to talk about is the fake and fraudulent budget. You know, after Tanku read the budget, I heard some people saying, it was the best budget. Until about 2 or 3 days pass, and you start, when we put them in the finance committee, and we start to ask them questions, they can't answer. I mean, you would have seen MP Birchwood, you would have seen MP Hans Devines asking questions, and the government simply could not answer. And why they couldn't answer? They couldn't answer because they were lying, they misled you. So all the multiplicity of projects, where again they will tell you that they're going to employ thousands of people here, they're going to employ thousands of people here. When you start asking them, where is the allocation in the budget for these thousands of jobs that you're talking about? And they can't find it because it was never there. So I am saying to you people that you have to be vigilant. You have to be vigilant. You have to ask questions. And I am so happy that so many of you now are listening to the Parliament channel, and you can hear exactly what it is they're saying. You can see the questioning, and you could see their failure to answer. So if it is that I have been advised that your member of parliament no longer has an office here in La HORQUETTA, he is claiming that the people from this area vote for him, right? And as a result of that, no office for the thousands of people that live here in La HORQUETTA. I hope all you're paying attention, because they're going to come back. And when they come back, I hope all you remember. He has decided that he's going to take his office to where the people vote for him. Boy, there's plenty people from La HORQUETTA vote for the man. Not so? So all you admitting all you vote for him? All you also admitting all you sorry, all you vote for him? Right. So I am asking the question on behalf of the hundreds of you who are here and those listening from La HORQUETTA, TALPARO, but specifically from La HORQUETTA, where is the office for you, the people of La HORQUETTA, to visit your member of parliament? I hope you all remember the office the state-of-the-art office that Senator Foster Cummings had here for the people of La HORQUETTA. So I just have about 2 more points that I have to make. And I want to remind you that La HORQUETTA phase 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, every single phase constructed by the People's National Movement. Camille gave you the information about the performance of the People's National Movement in the area of housing. But as you leave Tunapuna and you're coming up the highway, the evidence is overwhelming. Trin City, Maloney, La HORQUETTA, Malabar, phase 1, 2, 3, and 4, all constructed by the People's National Movement. And one of the challenges we have faced over the years is that the PNM has been performing so well. It has become so normal and natural for us to perform that we don't always blow our trumpet. And all the projects that you see in the East-West Corridor, done by the People's National Movement. If you talk about the Eastern Main Road, and you talk about the highway, and you talk about the bus route, all of that was PNM vision. And I cannot leave here because as I'm seeing the library, the state-of-the-art library, and I forgot to tell you that you're going to also get your secondary school when we return to government. They want to take credit for the Arima Hospital. They want to take credit for the Sandy Grande Hospital. They want to take credit for the Point Horton Hospital, all built by the People's National Movement. And I want to remind you, whether it is in healthcare, whether it is education, whether it is sports, the People's National Movement can demonstrate to you performance, track record, commitment. This government, because next month is going to be a year after the election. And you know what? They're going to blame the PNM for their inability to deliver. Because it is always easy, when things not going their way, blame the PNM. As I close, I want to say to you, it is not too early for you to start preparing mentally for local government elections. We have already invited nominations for seats where we don't have a sitting councillor. And you need to be ready and ready. It can come like a thief in the night. I want to remind you that in 1986, when we lost 33-3, and people thought that was the end of the PNM, we rose again and returned to government within the shortest possible time. And on each and every occasion that we have lost, within 5 years and less, we have returned to government. So it is important for me to remind you that yes, we are going through this period, and it's a dark period, It's very dark when you look at the government in office and when you look at the wickedness and the evil and the fact that they have no plan, and you are tempted to feel how long we will tolerate what is going on. Ask the Lord, Lord, can I really bear this? Can I really stick this out for 5 years? We have to do the work. And as a political leader, as the first female political leader of the People's National Movement, I want to say to you that our team, we are doing our work. We are going from constituency to constituency. We are listening to the people. We know we made some mistakes. We know we have to do better. And we say to you that we are working to get back into office. We have listened to you, the people of HORQUETTA, TALPARO, the people of Arima, the people of Grandy, the people of Trinity Maloney, the people of Diego Martin, Central, Northeast, Diego Martin West. We have listened to you, the people of Tunapuna. We have listened to all 41 constituencies. And you are aware that over the 70+ years that the People's National Movement has been a party, that we have always had a vision for Trinidad and Tobago. We already have a number of plans that were not completed. You saw today the fishing facility in Moruga. And just because it was built by the PNM, they don't want to open it. Just like the community center. Just like the pool. That's right. I had to come back and open it. So as I close, let me say I want to thank all of you for coming out. I want to thank you for remaining. I want to thank all my colleagues who spoke tonight. Yes, give them a round of applause. I am proud to lead this PNM. I am proud to be a daughter of the People's National Movement. I am proud to lead a party that has a vision. As we celebrate 70 years, there is no other political party in the history of the Caribbean that has stood tall, that has been committed to the people, that has ensured that there is equity in Trinidad and Tobago. And one of the things we never did, whether it is CPEP, whether it is URP, whether it is reforestation, when we get into office, we never say, because you're a UNC, that you would not get a job. And the big difference between the PNM and the UNC, every project, every job that the UNC believes is associated with the PNM, they want to destroy. But I want to tell them, when Eric Williams selected the Balizé as the symbol, he knew very well that if you cut it down, it's going to grow back. And if you burn it, it will come again from the ashes. Because that is a symbol of resilience. That is a symbol of sustainability. And I say to you, the people tonight, great is the PNM. Great is the PNM. And it shall prevail. We know that our brothers, our Muslim brothers, celebrate Eid al-Fitr. And on behalf of the People's National Movement, we would just like to say Eid Mubarak. Thank you very much.
Some of them don't like me. Some of them just fight me. Some of them wish bad on me. All of them could go their way. Some of them just back up me. And them feel like don't know. But I couldn't care less. All of them could rock so. Rock so. Rock so. You could rock so. Stay over there with your bad energy. You could rock so. Rock so. You could rock so. Stay over there with your bad energy. You could rock so.
Ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to the end of our public meeting in defense of the people of Trinidad and Tobago.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we have listened from our great speakers here this evening, one important note we must remember: do not be distracted by this government. Pay attention to what is going on. Ladies and gentlemen, we must continue to be proud of our MPs in the Parliament as they take this government going and coming.
Continue to rally with the People's National Movement. Follow our weekly opposition press conferences. Join us in Point Fortin for our Baptist Liberation celebrations on March 28th. And then we will all meet at the Nelson Mandela Square on May the 17th for our annual Sports and Family Day.
Let us also thank our hard-working operations team for pulling this event together for us. Let us thank our officers of the movement, and most important, you, the members and citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. And as we all say in one accord in the PNM, great is the PNM, great is the PNM, great is the PNM, and it shall prevail. Thank you.
Somebody shout mayhem. Somebody say better not today. The boss could take care of them. And in this crowd was singing love.